For me, a training camp format is really important because you're submerging yourself in the work. And I often communicate any skill accumulation like learning a language. And it's important to practice. It's important to train. It's important to have conversation in this new language you're trying to learn. But if you really want to become fluent, you have to go through full immersion. And it's not until you go into full immersion that you're going to realize what is outside of the borders and the limits that you have on your training. So when you expose yourself to the limits and you break through in a space, what we call not a safe space, but a brave space, because we can't guarantee safety. Anytime you go outside of your comfort zone, you're at risk. But we invite you, and we invite you to be safe in the sense that we invite you to be brave. You brave this transcendence of your comfort zone, inherently gaining strength as long as you're able to recuperate from that. So you go through 10 hours of training on day one in a camp. That's 10 hours, which if you break it into 1 hour of training twice a week, that's 5 weeks of training smashed into one day. And the typical Adjusting Ninjas training throughout the quarters, the tries, the semesters are twice a week, 1 hour. That is bare minimum just to be maintaining the level of learning and the trajectory. But if you really want evolution, you really want to transcend the limits that you may not even see there, 10-hour immersion on day one and then an 8-hour immersion on day two, you're crushing 18 hours of training in one weekend. And this is where people start to find areas of their life that they may not even realized have been holding them back because they hear someone's affirmation, or it's the first time they've ever meditated, or they are doing movements they never thought they were capable of. We have people who never go running. They go running, they realize they can run. So now they've found a whole nother way that they can drop out of their physical into their mental, spiritual. Then they go through all the training where they're repping out with facilitators on their asses, helping them find the dark spots in their game, tease out any of the limits or weaknesses that they may not have been able to catch on their own because of their current understanding of the work. Now you have people who have just taken further steps on the same path. Not that we're experts by any means. We're just training and looking back, helping those up those steps that we've traveled. And when you're in an environment, you've cultivated a sense of safety and guidance through this whole culture that people can now take steps that they didn't even realize were there. People stand at the edge in the dark and are scared to reach into the dark, but when there's a hand reaching back, you can reach out and get pulled into places you couldn't have gone alone. And if you're doing it 1 hour twice a week, you're going to move at a certain trajectory. If you do it for 18 hours in a weekend, and then that same group that have grown and bonded and suffered and recuperated together can now go into the training and maximize that time. So it's not just the 18-hour experience, but the follow-up. Something that we say all the time is it's not an experience that you go to. The training camp is an experience you leave from. And the experience itself transcends even the invisible barriers of that 18 hours that you're there. The process of self-discovery is never ending. And it's not personal development, it's personal revealing. It's a rediscovery of the genius that we were born. And as life de-geniuses us, as Buckminster Fuller says, we have to constantly also remember where we came from. And the camp experience, that full immersion, I think is the most effective, efficient, and sustainable way to help people reveal more of themselves in a short period of time. And if they can take themselves through that much transformation in that short period of time, they can facilitate transformation for others because they know what's possible.